Oh, that is one way to start a race. 3:20 odd for 4 minutes. Woo!
And we are back for another episode of Dead Last Cycling. And it looks like Zwift Racing is finally back on the upswing, as today's race had over 90 riders in it.
All right, fellas. Urumaze. This one looks a lot harder than last week. We've got the pain cavern climb almost right out the gate. So start crossing your fingers for a feather at this first banner. Very big group, 92. This is the most people I've raced against in a long time.
For the past few months, most races have had somewhere between 40 and 60 riders, and an upswing to around the 100 mark is very welcome. But there was a good chance that some of the 92 would be returning from a long absence from racing, having been riding outside instead, which means one thing: we'd probably be contending with some of the dreaded ZRS decay today.
So I've not raced up Pain Cavern for like 6 months. When I did it before, it was over 5 minutes. I don't think it'll be that long today. It's gonna be curious how hard people go on it right out the gate. Everyone's gonna be fresh. So we could get some real flyers up there. But that plateau and the descent is really long after it.
Pain Cavern actually featured in the second ever Zwift race I did back in last October. On that occasion, it took me 6.5 minutes to get up the thing. This would be a good little test to see how far my fitness has come in the past 10 months.
Lucky or never lucky? Never lucky. Womp womp. Oh well. Just gotta do it anyway.
Feather or not, I was confident I'd be making it up without too many problems, because weirdly, I've actually started to feel fairly strong at this type of effort.
This one's quite a bit longer than what we've been racing on recently. Might take about 40 minutes. I'm gonna measure the efforts. Don't want to spend too much on Pain Cavern. If we can get to the end, it'll be a reduced bunch sprint, I think. But you gotta try to get to the end as conservatively as possible. At the same time, you just cannot afford to get dropped.
Speaking of bunch sprints, I've got to give a big shout out to my guy Jordan, who we raced against in Tour de Zwift and Zwift Games. Now he is a serious sprinter and just did his first real life crit race and managed to come home 5th out of more than 50 riders. Massive props, mate.
Time to be in pain.
Like a lot of the climbs we get in these Zwift Racing Series routes, Pain Cavern is a stepped climb, with steeper sections and shallower sections. And as with many of them, if you can push a little harder on the steep stuff, you can enjoy some of the draft in the flatter bits.
You gotta keep it smooth and consistent.
So yeah, whilst you want to push a little harder on the red bits, you don't want to push so hard that you dip too deep into your reserves, at least not when Zwift have decided to start the race immediately with a VO2 interval.
Starting to sting a little bit.
This was hurting, but it was controlled, and it matches up really well with the VO2 block I just started. I did a vicious 4x4 workout on Saturday, which was anything but fun, and ended up with me laying on a grassy verge at the side of the road after my final interval. But it did teach me that I can do these kind of numbers.
Come on. I should have saved the aero for that bit up top.
Our massive group was really starting to string out and gaps were opening behind, but I was well towards the front and out of danger.
Oh, it's getting hard.
Getting hard, but the end was in sight and I was making it over. My time for Pain Cavern was 3 minutes 54 seconds, more than 2.5 minutes faster than I was back when I first started cycling, which really goes to show how much you can improve if you just keep showing up.
Oh, that is one way to start a race. 3:20 odd for 4 minutes. Woo! Not having a feather sucked. Woo. But we made it. Oh, recover now.
Thankfully, we had a ridiculous amount of time to recover, perhaps even too much time, as the plateau and descent that followed were long, and apart from the odd roller and finger crossing exercise under the banner to secure a feather, there wasn't very much to write home about in the intervening 9 kilometres or so, but we did still have a lot of company at least.
Got a long way on this plateau though. There's still a hell of a lot of riders with us, 60 riders or so. It's a very big race. Maybe people are finally, like I said, some decayed gamers coming back inside. So we might see fireworks on the second climb. Man, this plateau is long. Maybe we skip you boys forward.
And looking at the number of times I complained about how long it was, I think we should do just that.
So, now that the descending is basically over, we've got 2 little bumps and a big bump. Just gotta give it everything. Oh, I think I'm gonna lose my voice today. I can already feel the exercise-induced laryngeal obstruction triggering.
Perhaps my garage, as well as this route, is just too dusty and I need to do some cleaning. But after what had felt like an eternity cruising along, things were finally about to ramp up again.
Here we go. Race is about to be back on.
This first little bump was effectively just an opportunity to wake the legs back up ready for the Festival Harbour climb, which I was expecting to be ridden much more aggressively than the Pain Cavern. And despite the fact that we'd had a lot of flats between the two, this had still been a race and I was expecting the group to split. I had to make sure I was in position so I could get over in the front group.
Cannot enter this in last.
And something that I've been really noticing in these Upper Cat B races is that the fight for position before the climbs is far more hotly contested and it is a lot harder for me to move up. But Festival Harbour has a short, sharpish ramp right before it, so I knew ultimately I could move up on that and then hold position into the proper climb. And for the most part, that worked out, and I was able to enter the real test about where I wanted to be, around 10th to 15th wheel. Close enough to respond, but still with a good amount of the draft. Straight away, nearly everyone was ripping their feather, and I, perhaps a little late or early, had to pop mine too, but we had a rocket ship blasting off the front, and I did not think I could jump across, so I settled in to ride with the group.
Should have used the feather later.
I was feeling good here, strong even, but not strong enough to follow as a second rider went up the road, and I could tell that if I tried, I would cook myself completely. The group was seriously strung out, with big splits opening up, but the front of the race was still sizable.
2 off the front.
After a very uncharacteristic standing push up to the banner, it was basically time to recover and try to get ready for an eventual reduced bunch sprint. It was just a question of whether we'd be sprinting for a shot at the win or if only the minor places would be up for grabs.
Can't see what lead they've got. 5 kilometers. Gonna depend if anyone pulls. No way I could have jumped. I think that pack behind will catch.
And they did quickly sweep onto the back, swelling our numbers to over 30, but it didn't seem like we were making inroads into the breakaway.
There's 30 of us. We don't need Group 2 syndrome. I can't pull.
Group 2 syndrome is rough. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I certainly wouldn't or couldn't pull the group back. I just don't have that type of flat sustained power.
3.5. I can't complain if I'm not willing to pull.
Gradually though, as we start to hit some rollers, the two up front seem to be fighting each other.
It's like they're splitting up. It's better for the chasers.
With one rider dropping back to be swallowed by the peloton, it was going to be a tall order to stay away for the lone rider off the front, but he must have been putting out some serious power because we were not making inroads, and it started to look more and more likely that he would stay away. But with nearly 100 riders in the field, if we could pull off another top 10 or top 5, this would be a fantastic result.
We need Tim to click.
El Tractor was not going to be making a surprise appearance, so the win would go to the breakaway, but no matter what place you're fighting for, you still sprint for the finish line.
Oh man, I gotta catch my breath. 5th place, 5th out of 92. That's good. It's a good result. I don't know, that guy that won was crazy strong. I shifted up 1 or 2 too many gears. Hurt my sprint.
I've said this quite a few times, but gearing and shifting in and around a sprint is something I just really struggle with. There is no good place to put the cog and click, as any position is always going to compromise one thing or the other. Today, having to shift down one after starting my sprint probably cost me a position or two, and nearly pulled my neck out of alignment as well. But 5th out of 90 odd is great, and I'm really starting to feel like I can fight in these races again.
But as always, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you can like, comment, or subscribe, I'd be very grateful. And I will see you guys next week. Take care.